Welcome to the wonderful world of Phylum Molluska. The three main classes of mollusks are gastropoda, which includes limpets, snails, slugs, and whelks; bivalvia, which includes clams, oysters, mussels, scallops, and shipworms; and cephalopoda, which includes octopi, squid, cuttlefish, nautilus, and argonauts. Here you see examples of a limpet and scallop showing off its eyes, and left there's a cuttlefish and squid. All forms of mollusks have a body composed of at least three distinct parts. One, the visceral mass, the soft-bodied portion that contains the internal organs. Two, the foot, a strong muscular portion used for locomotion, which is adapted as tentacles in cephalopods. And three, the mantle, a membranous, sometimes muscular covering that envelops but does not completely enclose the visceral mass. It can secrete a shell. Here we see an illustration of the general features of all mollusks. Identifying characteristics of mollusks. They have a coelom, which allows for specialization of organ systems. Most are bilaterally symmetrical. All have a visceral mass, foot, and mantle. They possess a one-way digestive system with specialized organs and have feeding mouthparts. Cephalopods have a closed circulatory system. All other classes possess open circulatory systems. The point of a circulatory system is to quickly transport gases, hormones, and nutrients throughout the body. A closed circulatory system keeps blood in vessels at all times. It is typically more complex and requires more energy, and is found in more complex animals. An open circulatory system pumps blood into open cavities to bathe organs and tissues, and blood vessels carry blood through the body at low pressure. Organisms with this model have lots of blood and low blood pressure. In Figure A, we can see their open circulatory system. In B, we can see a closed circulatory system. Other mollusca characteristics. Many have highly developed cephalization with sensory organs. Many have calcium carbonate external shells. Their respiratory system includes the use of gills to extract oxygen and get rid of waste. Many have a radula, which is a chitinous tongue used for feeding. They have sexual reproduction and have separate sexes, so they are dioecious. The gastropods, which means belly and foot. They're usually univalves, which means one shell. They have a large muscular foot. They have a well-defined head. Their muscles move in a rippling motion for movement. Most possess gills, but some actually have lungs. They have a radula to help obtain food, which scrapes. Most snails have a lid-like part called an operculum on the back of the foot, so they can draw their bodies into their shell and close off the opening. Gastropods in love. And a lonely garden slug. They reproduce via sexual reproduction. Both partners are hermaphroditic, similar to what we've already studied. The bivalves, which means two-shell. They possess two shells that can be tightly closed with strong muscles. They have strong muscular foot and use it for locomotion. They have no head or brain. They typically have no eyes, but some species have simple eyes or photosensory cells and lenses. All bivalves have light sensory cells that detect shadows over them. They often attach themselves to surfaces. They possess an open circulatory system. Umbo is the oldest part of the shell, with extra material gradually secreted by the mantle, and umbo can be found in the diagram in the lower portion slide here. It has concentric rings which are used to age the shell. Soft-shelled clams were thought to be short-lived, but actually live up to 28 years or more. Fun fact, statocysts are small sacs with sensory cilia that detect movement of a mineral mass. A statolith with gravity helps the bivalve sense its orientation. Bivalve reproduction. Some hermaphroditism, but mostly separate sexes. Gonads are close to the intestines and either open into the nephridia, which are primitive kidneys, or through a separate pore into the mantle cavity. And in the picture below, in the first slide, you can see the oyster life cycle. In marine environments, sperm and egg are released for external fertilization. Spawning can be continual, for dribble spawners, or triggered by environmental factors like day length, water temperature, or presence of sperm in the water. Fertilized eggs hatch after several hours or days into larvae, which metamorphose into adults. In certain freshwater environments, sperm is drawn into female gills and internal fertilization takes place. Once hatched inside the female's shell, larvae attach parasitically to fish gills until they are ready to metamorphose and become juveniles on the ground. Above left in the first slide, you can see an elephant trunk clams, or many elephant trunk clams, which are named for their large foot. In the above right portion, you can see an opened oyster, commonly enjoyed raw or cooked as a delicacy. And on the lower right, you can see scallop showing off its many primitive eyes. The cephalopods, which means head and foot. They are bilaterally symmetrical, prominent head, arms, and tentacles. They have advanced vision. They have developed brain, most intelligent vertebrate. Arms that take in food surround hard, strong, beak-like jaws that tear the prey and may secrete a poison to paralyze it. They have closed circulatory system with hemocyanin, like hemoglobin. Hemocyanin contains copper instead of iron, so it is colorless when deoxygenated and turns blue when exposed to air. This is the first problem-solving class. As an example, the Octopus Escape Room Challenge, which we saw in a video. Here we see the internal anatomy of an octopus. It has many fascinating features like a beak, a siphon or funnel, where it can shoot out water, an ink sac. It has a poison gland, a dorsal mantle cavity, which is where sperm is stored, among many other things. An octopus has 3 hearts, 2 that pump to the gills and 1 to the tentacles. It's important to know that they have a complex digestive system. Cephalopod feeding. Stomach and crop perform similar function in storing food. Stomach can also digest it. Cecum is primary site of absorption, like our intestine. All cephalopods have a beak. Most have a radula too, though it's small in octopi. Prey is captured with tentacles and brought into the mouth. Salivary glands eject toxic digestive juices, which are manufactured by symbiotic algae, that separate prey flesh from bone/shell. Salivary gland has a small tooth at its end, so juices can be injected to digest prey from within. Cephalopod reproduction. They are dioecious. Cephalopods have a rapid growth rate, dependent on the environment and temperature, and a short life plan. Immature females can store sperm until they are ready to fertilize eggs. Males compete by flailing and snapping at one another, and entice the female by flushing. You don't hear that every day. In most species, males have a hectocotylus, or arm tip, that transfers sperm into female mantle cavity. Most cephalopods do not provide parental care, although octopi do. They reproduce only once and put all their energy into caring for the eggs. Both sexes die shortly afterwards. She finds a den and lays eggs there. Then she doesn't eat, but spends all her time cleaning and aerating the eggs. Finally, the eggs hatch, and she will die. Cephalopod defense. Their eyes can compete with ours in terms of vision quality. However, they only see black and white. So how do they know what color to imitate? Their skin has receptors that catch light from nearby objects, so even their skin is scanning their surroundings. Changing color. When camouflaging themselves, they use chromatophores to change brightness and pattern according to their background. Chromatophores are pigment-containing and light-reflecting cells controlled by muscles to change and distort cell size and shape, allowing for instant color change. Other species, fish, amphibians, etc., physically translocate pigment, which takes longer. Some bioluminescence to attract prey or bioluminescence downward to predators below can't see them. Ink. Cephalopods have an ink sac, a muscular bag that lies beneath the gut and opens into the anus. Contents are almost pure melanin, which mixes with mucus to form a thick smokescreen. Some cephalopods release clouds with more mucus that resembles itself, a decoy. Jet propulsion. Water enters the mantle on the outside of the gills and the entrance of the mantle cavity closes. Muscles of the mantle contract and expel water past the gills and out of funnel with great pressure. The funnel is flexible, allowing for direction change during propulsion. One cool fact is that they can reach up to 25 miles per hour. Squid in Japan have been seen to fly to escape predators for 30 meters in the air. The blue-ringed octopus. Highly venomous octopus. Very distinct coloring, usually docile unless provoked. First step, they flee. Second step, they show their blue rings. Third step, they bite. One cool fact is that it contains enough venom to kill 26 adults within minutes, but their bites are often painless. Tetrodotoxin is a neurotoxin that blocks sodium channels, which causes paralysis. So you can't call for help or act injured, but you are conscious. Unless CPR is started as soon as you stop breathing, you will likely die. The heart usually still pumps. Another cool fact is that they can kill sharks, and octopi are extremely intelligent creatures and have been known to learn to escape from their aquariums through very small cracks at the top to eat crabs or sharks in neighboring tanks, then to return to their own aquarium. The ecological roles of mollusks. Mollusks are part of the aquatic food chain. See the picture to the left where there's a starfish eating or digesting a mussel. Many mollusks are keystone species. If their numbers decrease, the decline in other species of marine life will follow. Filter feeders help to purify the water. Many bivalves are reef forming and provide an ecosystem for other aquatic species. And they're reef builders which stabilize banks and bottom sediments. Squid fact. Cool fact as well. The largest squid ever caught was a 10-meter long colossal squid off the coast of New Zealand and weighed in at 1,200 pounds or 495 kilograms. Colossal squid are larger than the giant squid found off the Mexican coast and are thought to grow in size to a whopping 13 meters.